Welcome back to Winning Within, your go-to self-development podcast. This is your host, Orlando Avalon, the lover of philosophy and the fuck buddy of wisdom, baby. I'm back. The master podcaster is back after a short break of inspiration. And boy, oh boy, am I excited to be back. Today I'm going to be talking about living the life of your dreams, baby. I would like to express my contention that whatever it is that you want to do with your life, you can actually do it. And I'm gonna try my best to not sound cheesy throughout this podcast. Um, Sometimes I need to cheesy check myself so that I can actually convey my points accurately, because people tend to shut off when you say cheesy or things that are perceived as cheesy. So I would like to express my contention that whatever you actually want to do with your life, like that thing that's in your heart, that you're like, oh yeah, that would be amazing, and then your brain's like, yeah, but there's no way that could happen. I would like to express to you that that can totally happen. The only reason that you think it can't happen is just because you have programming in your brain telling you that it can't, telling you it's unrealistic, telling you like, oh, for this reason and that reason and that reason, it wouldn't happen. It's not possible for me. But that's the only reason that for which you wouldn't make that happen is because it just seems impossible to you. But it's not impossible. It just seems like it to you because you have that programming. But there are many things that exist today that we actually take for granted that 100 years ago would have commonly been believed to be impossible. Let's take the telephone, for example. I don't know when the telephone was invented, probably more than 100 years ago, but let's say 500 years ago. I was sitting with you and I was like, hey, man or woman, um, I've got this idea. Like, I'm gonna build a box and then, like the the earth, uh, like this thing we're on. I don't know how they talked about the earth back then, like what they knew about it, but whatever. You can go to the other end of the earth and I'm gonna make two boxes. I'm gonna keep one and then you're gonna take a ship and in like 6.5 months you'll be at the other end of the earth and you'll bring the other box with you and you put it to your ear and then you're gonna hear me talking and I'm gonna talk in my box. I'll be on this side of the world and and the guy's like, wait, are you like screaming? Like, have you developed the ability to like scream louder than any person ever known in history? And you're like, no, 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 I could whisper. So you could whisper into a box, and then I have another box, and I'm on the other end of the world, and I can hear you whisper. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Um, well, good luck with that, buddy. Enjoy this little project of yours. Get back to me, give me updates, because that sounds like a fun project. I'd help you out, but I've got other shit to do, man. What the fuck is up with you? Like, what kind of crack did you smoke this morning to tell me you're gonna make a box like that? Is it gonna be called a magic box? Is it gonna be called a magic box? Yeah? No, I'm gonna call it a telephone. A telephone. Yeah, I'm gonna call it a telephone. And like everyone's gonna have one in the future. Like everyone's gonna have one. Even fucking like children will have them. And like people in the future won't even like think about how amazing this is. Like they'll just be like, yeah, it's a telephone. Like, duh. You know, of course, you can take a box to the other side of the world and whisper into it, and I can hear you whisper from the other side of the globe. Duh. How does it work? I don't know, but yeah, I mean, it's not magic. It's just that's how it is. You know. But like, let's say we go back to 500 years ago, and I tell you this, and you think I'm fucking mad, and then the very next day, I bring you that box, and I'm like, yo, I made it. Here, take this, and like go to your village, and just press on this part of the box, and then you'll hear my voice, and then you go back to your village, and you hear my voice. You would think that's magic. You you'd have absolutely no reference point from which to explain that, and so you would have to attribute that to magic or something. You would just be like, what the fuck? That would open up your mind like a motherfucker. You'd be like, holy shit, okay, if that's possible, what else is possible? So my point is that we tend to say okay, consider that the fact that the telephone, all of this, it actually became true. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Alexander Graham Bell. I'm not sure, um, but the person who invented the telephone, their friends, their close ones, actually took him to a mental asylum when he started expressing these ideas because they were like, this guy's clearly gone fucking insane because this doesn't make any sense, and he seems so convinced about it. He has this belief in it, so he must be crazy. But this guy made that happen, right? Which is kind of like, honestly, like, forget you've ever seen a phone for a second. That's fucking miraculous. That is magic right there. That is bonkers. It's just that phones have pretty much always been a part of your life, probably. So you're just like, well, yeah, it's a phone. But anyway, that guy made that happen. And you think that you can't get that job? You think you can't make X amount of money? You think you can't live in that country? You think you can't sculpt that physique? You think you can't be happy? You think those things are impossible? What makes you think that? Like, this dude figured out a way for us to communicate through the ether, to transmit voice through the ether. That's pretty bonkers. If that's possible, I reckon you could make 100,000 euros a year if that's what you want. You could make €1 million a year if that's what you want. You could go live in the south of Spain. You could quit your job and go backpacking for 6 months. You could do that. Those things are possible. They're possible. It's just that your brain tells you they're not. But how many times has your brain been like flat out, straight up, fucking wrong, bro? Like, if your brain's never been wrong, then trust it by all means. But I can tell you, like, my brain's been wrong a lot. There's that Seneca quote, we suffer more in imagination than we do in reality. Like, all those things, those assumptions you've made about people, like, oh, that person must think this, that person, oh, this is gonna happen now, it's all gonna fail, all those things your brain has told you. Like, when were those true? Do you not realize that your brain has a negativity bias? Like, it's, unless you've programmed it otherwise, or you were lucky enough to have an upbringing conducive to the opposite, Your brain will, by default, focus on the negative. So that's just your brain, right? And also, you got to think about this. Most people have a lot of limiting beliefs. So you've grown up your whole life around people who had limiting beliefs, around people who said, "Oh yeah, but that's unrealistic. That's not possible. That's not possible." You've heard that like probably thousands of times, and so that has influenced you. It's influenced you to then repeat that, to be like, "Oh yeah, but that's not possible," because that's what you heard. That doesn't mean it's true. Just because there is a prevailing pattern of thinking doesn't mean that it's accurate. There was also a prevailing pattern of thinking back in Nazi Germany that Jews ought to be executed. That was a prevailing pattern of thinking. You could have asked people, they would have been like, yeah. I'm sure certain people disagreed, but I mean, that's what a lot of people thought. You could also have interviewed people in America in the 19th century about slavery, and they would have been like, yeah, of course, it's okay to own people and to have slaves. That's okay. That was a prevailing pattern of thinking back then. And so it seems that the prevailing pattern of thinking is not always accurate, right? I would say most of us probably disagree with the people in America, their views on slavery in the 19th century, right? That was a prevailing pattern of thinking. A lot of people thought like that. So if you were living in that time, you grew up around people who always said that. They said like, yeah, slavery is fine. Like it's fine to own people. And likewise, today you're raised in a society where people say, yeah, that's not possible. It's not realistic. That's not going to happen. You know, think realistically. And so that's also seeped into your mind, and it's influenced the way that you think. So now you think that, you repeat that. And I'm here to tell you that that thing that you want to do is possible. Just about how bad you want it. That's it. That's really it. Like the factor that will determine whether or not you achieve this is you. It is your decision. If you want to make something happen, it's your decision. But it's your decision, but you also must be willing to take full responsibility for making that happen. So that means if you say, I'm taking my life into my own hands, I'm going to make this happen, I'm going to achieve my dreams, right? I'm going to build this business, I'm going to build this brand, I'm going to make this amount of money, I'm going to reach this amount of people, I'm going to spread this message, right? If you decide that, you also must decide whatever obstacle comes in my way, I will use as a building block for my success, not I will use as an excuse to give up. You must take full responsibility for achieving that which you want to achieve. And full responsibility means you make it happen no matter what. And anything that comes your way, you don't interpret as failure, you interpret as a temporary setback. It's a temporary setback. Failure is a decision. Oh, that's my alarm. Yeah, anyway. Oh, there's going to be another one in 2 minutes from now, which I will shut off. What was I saying? Yeah, failure is a decision. Have you ever thought about it like that? People say, "Oh, I failed." Well, yeah, but the failure wasn't what you thought it was. Like, let's say, yeah, let's say you wanted to build a business, and yeah, let's say you don't make enough sales, you run out of money, and so you give up and you get a day job. And then people ask you in the future, they're like, "Oh, you ever started a business?" You're like, "Yeah, but it failed. I failed." And you think the failure was the running out of money. And I'm like, that wasn't the failure, pal. The failure was giving up. That's when you stamped the failure stamp onto that journey. You ran out of money. You interpreted it as, oh, this means it's not going to happen, which is, by the way, meaning is subjective and personally allocated. It's not the holy truth. So you chose to give the meaning that you ran out of money as representing the fact that this is not going to happen for you. Then you got your little failure stamp and you stamped it yourself. You said that's a failure. But the failure was you allocating that meaning. The failure was you giving up. You decided to give up, and in that decision, you failed. Another person who ran out of money may have been like, it seems I'm experiencing a temporary setback. I feel a little worried. I feel a little fearful. I feel a little disappointed and frustrated. I feel a little angry. But this is a temporary setback because I decided I would build this business. I decided I would build this business. I didn't decide to try. I didn't say I'll give it a go. I'll give it a go. I'll try. I guess I'll see. See what happens. No, I said I decided to build this business. I made that decision. Life responds to certainty. Life responds to you making a decision. Life doesn't respond to you saying, "Yeah, I guess I'll give it a go. I'll dip my toe in the pool. I'll see what it's like, and I'll try and build the business, and it might not work out. If it doesn't work out, then I hope it works out. I hope it works. I hope the gods grant me the business, and if I experience any sort of resistance to it, then I'll give up." Life doesn't respond to that bullshit. Life responds to certainty. Life responds when people decide that they're going to make something happen. And when you decide you're going to make something happen, it might be worthwhile for you to do a quick visualization exercise. The following visualization exercise is to picture yourself on the road, on the journey to achieving, let's stick with the building a business example, but it could be whatever you want. Let's say you want to build a clothing line. If you decide you're going to build a clothing line, then just picture yourself, first of all, picture yourself with the clothing line, wherever you want it to be in like 10 years time, or however long, when it's where you want it to be. Let's say you want it like to be like a big international clothing line. Then picture that. See it for yourself. See it as if you're there now. Pretend that you're there now and you're running this big, really popular clothing line that everyone's talking about. See it on Instagram pages, in magazines, see people wearing it, see famous like celebrities wearing it in advertisements, whatever it is that would represent to you the fact that it's occurring now. And then go back in your head and visualize obstacles coming your way. Visualize yourself surmounting those obstacles. Because to think you're going to build this big clothing line without any obstacles is plain fucking delusional. It's very naive. Think about it. Why do few people succeed at endeavors like this? Why do you suppose people tell you this stuff is impossible? And there's not everyone who tells you, oh, you want to build a big international clothing line? That's great. That's great. Cool, do that. People don't typically say that. People say, oh, like they express the fact that they don't believe that's possible. Why? Because so few people do it. And why is that? Because most people, when they experience resistance, they give up. So, of course, it's not going to be easy, right? Logically, you got to get that in your head. It's not going to be easy. Life isn't just going to give it to you on a silver platter. Life is going to test you or your decision. Life will test your decision. So I said before, life responds to certainty, but life will then test your certainty. So you have certainty, right? You say, I will build this clothing line. I have decided to build this clothing line. I'm not going to attempt. I'm not going to try. I will build this clothing line. I have so much certainty that I can actually feel it right now, like it's already happening. It's already happening. I already have this clothing line. It's just a matter of time for reality to catch up. That level of certainty. And you express that, you put that into the world, you show life that, and then life will be like, okay, that sounds intriguing. I like that. But let me test you. Let me test you. It seems really intriguing. I'm going to say, I really like it, but I just want to test you. So let's see. Let me throw this obstacle in your way. And you know why I do this? Like me, I'm live right now. I'm like, hey, you know why I do this? You know why I test your certainty? Because I fucking love seeing you surmount obstacles. I fucking love seeing you strong. I fucking love seeing you persevere and being persistent and just going after what you want. I fucking love that. I love seeing that. And so I give you obstacles. They're gifts, those obstacles. And people don't know this. People think they're punishments, but no. They're gifts. I give that to you and me. That's for you to enjoy and for me to enjoy. It's all about the meaning you give it. And I'm going to tell you a secret. This is the meaning I would give to obstacles when they come your way. This is my opportunity to shine. That's the meaning I'd give it. Right? So I'm still live here, right? And I'm like, I'm going to give you these obstacles because then I test your certainty and I allow you to demonstrate all that is within you, all that strength, that persistence, that fucking determination. I allow you to expose that to yourself and to me and to the whole world. And I allow you to cultivate it, to develop it, to recognize it within yourself. Those obstacles are gifts, my friend. And so life will give you obstacles and test your certainty. Another way of saying life will test your certainty is life will provide you with abundant opportunities for you to recognize your grit, your determination, your perseverance, and your power. Because then you'll get to look back when you're there and you see your brand's like a massive thing, and you'll be like, holy fuck, all the shit that I surmounted to build this. Because people will be like, oh wow, that's so great, you succeeded, you're amazing, like you got so successful, and they will praise certain things. They will praise the material success, they'll praise the amount of money, they'll praise the reach, the popularity of your brand, your clothing line and stuff. That's the stuff that people will praise. But someone else who's had their own journey, their own similar journey, would probably ask you different questions. Like someone who's never had that journey may ask you questions like, fuck, so like they would want to know, how much money do you make? They would want to know, like, What's life now for you? You know, what's life like? Like, do you just spend your time in yachts and private jets? They would ask, they'd probably be curious about that kind of stuff. But someone who's experienced their own similar journey would want to know, like, tell me about all the shit that you surmounted. I want to know all that stuff. All the shit you surmounted, all the obstacles. I want to know that stuff. Because I know I've had my own journey. And I know that if you're where you are now, you've surmounted some shit, my friend, and I want to know that stuff. So, in closing, you've got more potential than you can possibly start to imagine. You're capable of doing so much more than you think. And whatever it is that you've been thinking, holding onto in your heart, that thing that your heart's telling you you'd like to do, like just whispering, like, do this, just do it, like Nike. You can have that. You can really have that. It's just a matter of how much you want it.